Hey, today I'll be talking about episodes 10 through 14 of Legend of ZhenHuan. ZhenHuan has started to spend more and more time sleeping. Suspecting shenanigans, she calls Dr. Wen for a checkup. He confirms that someone has been tampering with her medication. After a few days, they catch the guilty servant, who admits that he works for Yu, the crazy maid turned concubine from episode 5. Huafei has two main cronies, Li Ping, an imperial concubine, and Chao Guiren, noble lady. Huafei gets the news that the servants have been caught at ZhenHuan's place and begins to worry that Yu will be a problem, since it was actually her and her gals who put her up to it. ZhenHuan presents her evidence to the emperor, and he sentences Yu to suicide. This was considered a more humane method of execution, a favor afforded to her on account of her having served the emperor. Unfortunately, he has to leave the palace for a work trip, and Yu refuses to commit suicide. The servants are in a tough position, so Lingrong, wanting to prove her usefulness to her friends, goes to see Yu and tells the servants to go ahead and kill her by force. The news gets back to ZhenHuan and Meizhuang, and they are put off by her brutality. Lingrong overhears them criticizing her, and it's not mean-spirited, but I can see how their words would hurt her. ZhenHuan suspects that Yu's plan was too impressive for her to have come up with on her own. Lingrong proposes a plan to draw out the real masterminds. Ghosts start haunting the palace. The rumor going around is that it's the ghost of Yu come to take revenge. The real culprit is Xiao Yinzi, ZhenHuan's head of staff, who I hope is getting a raise after this. Lingrong's plan is to make someone feel guilty enough that they start to blab, and it works on Li Pin, who, lucky for them, is very superstitious. Huafei and Li Pin encounter Yu's ghost one night, and Li Pin cracks, screaming about being innocent and begging for mercy. Huafei has her servants cover Li Pin's mouth as the other concubines come to investigate the noise. Things get very tense as Huafei tries to take Li Pin away while Meizhuang and ZhenHuan struggle to keep her there without overstepping their bounds. And then, before Huafei can leave, this is the first scene in which I've actually seen her as an empress. She does a great job of sussing out the situation and uses palace rules to force Huafei to let Li Pin go. When Huafei starts to resist, ZhenHuan does this.
恭送皇后娘娘. 恭送皇后娘娘.
Which is one of my favorite scenes because it's such a great example of using the strict palace rules to your advantage. The crew reunites later that night, and Lingrong finally gets some kudos for a brilliant plan. Huafei, meanwhile, is freaking out until Chao Guiren comes up with a clever counterattack. The next day, the Emperor's Dowager shows up arm in arm with Huafei. The Emperor's Dowager prioritizes harmony in the harem above all else, so she orders that Li Pin be locked up. After all, you can't trust the words of a crazy person, so why bother listening? The girls are set back but not giving up. Meizhuang gets back to work on accounting, saving the palace money, and ZhenHuan continues to be the apple of the emperor's eye. Lingrong stays Lingrong. Huanbi, ZhenHuan's servant, begins to get more screen time. Huanbi is actually ZhenHuan's half-sister. They share the same father, but because it was an affair, she can't be officially recognized and lives as ZhenHuan's servant. They both know the truth, though they've never discussed it. One night, Chao catches Huanbi breaking palace rules, but says she'll let it go, for a favor. The next day, Chao goes to see the emperor with her daughter Wen Yi. She plays with a hairpiece that originally belonged to Huafei. The emperor recognizes it and decides to invite Huafei on a trip to the summer palace. It's so infuriating how easily manipulated the emperor is at times, but I guess that's the point. Life's crazy when everything depends on the whims of this random dude. ZhenHuan and Meizhuang are also invited, and the entourage sets off. At the Summer Palace, we get a bit more insight into the relationship between the Emperor and Guo Wang. The Emperor is obviously the Emperor, but Guo Wang is well-liked and very talented. He's also hotter and younger than he is. Guo Wang is constantly having to talk himself down to make the Emperor feel better, and it's really well done. Just the right touch of awkwardness. Chao Guiren picks up on this, and in a few artful moves, Inception plants the idea in the Emperor's head that ZhenHuan might have admired Guo Wang before they met. After all, when they first met, the Emperor was pretending to be Guo Wang, so did ZhenHuan fall for the Emperor or Guo Wang? Can you tell how impressed I am with Chao? She doesn't use her powers for good, but that doesn't mean I don't admire the skills. Her pot stirring works, and after she leaves, the Emperor asks ZhenHuan when she started to love him. She pinpoints the moment he saved her from Yu. Good choice, since that's also when she found out his real identity. She does her best to soothe his insecurities, but he's clearly still bothered by it. At home later, ZhenHuan realizes that someone must have told Chao how she met the Emperor since it's not widely known. I'll give you 3 guesses. We catch a glimpse of a new character, Fourth Prince. When the Emperor was younger, he got drunk and slept with a woman who was low in status, resulting in Fourth Prince. Very embarrassing for him and got him in a lot of trouble at the time. As a result, he isn't a big fan of the kid, who lives in the summer palace full-time. Fourth prince finds ZhenHuan and asks to speak to her in private. He's heard about ZhenHuan since she's the current favorite and thinks she seems like a nice person. He's right, but hell of a jump. I mean, Huafei was the previous favorite and she kills baby birds for fun. Anyway, since she's so close to the emperor, he asks her how he can get the emperor to like him. Speaking of kids, Meizhong has been taking a prescription from her new gynecologist, Dr. Liu. At dinner one night, Meizhong throws up some soup, so they call the doctor. Turns out that her new prescription has worked and she is pregnant. No animosity between these two, who are both super excited for the pregnancy. They send for Lingrong and the trio is reunited at the summer palace. Wenyi, Chao Guiren's daughter, is turning 1, so they have a birthday banquet. We meet Duanfei for the first time. Even though she's a consort, same as Huafei, this is the first we see of her because she's very ill and doesn't go out much. She seems to really like baby Wenyi and gives her some expensive presents. ZhenHuan leaves to get some air and takes her shoes off to play in the water. She's spotted by Guowang, who finds her very cute. Back at the banquet, Chao Guiren suggests a fun game to pass the time. They will write random talents on scraps of paper and the consorts will pick them and perform them. The Empress gets calligraphy and does a great job, but when it's ZhenHuan's turn, Chao slips in a new piece of paper for a swan dance. This dance is notoriously difficult and was made famous by the first Empress. In addition, ZhenHuan never dances, so they're hoping she sucks. She starts dancing and Meizhong plays while Lingrong sings. She's doing an okay job until Guowang shows up with his flutes. He's a gifted player and his song inspires ZhenHuan to improvise, making the dance that much better. Though it's not doing any wonders for the emperor's suspicions. It seems like the bad guys are foiled until Huafei pops up with fake tears and a suspiciously relevant poem. Turns out there was a second layer to this plan. Huafei blubbers a bit about how moving ZhenHuan's dance was, and her apparent love for the arts moves the emperor, who resolves to visit more and reinstates her harem powers. On their way out, ZhenHuan tells Chao she's on her, but it's more begrudging respect than anger. The scheming is really starting to ramp up and become more complicated now, with every character having a part to play. I really love seeing the trio take the offense and leave Huafei struggling to keep up. I mean, they failed, but good first effort. These episodes are also when we truly get introduced to two of my favorite characters, Guowang and Chao Guiren. Guowang is the best male character, but honestly, what competition is there? He's just as compatible with ZhenHuan, except not old enough to be her grandfather, and also doesn't have a harem of conniving ladies. With standards that low, it would be hard for him to lose. I can see why the emperor's got that weird inferiority complex. As for Chao Guiren, she's brilliant. If she were half as pretty or giggly as some of the other women, she would hands down be the top dog. Finally, we'll see more of the fourth prince later, but how pitiful is that little guy? I guess when you can have literally dozens of kids, you stop caring about them. Even the way he holds Wenyi is hilarious, like a sack of potatoes. Till next time, thanks for watching.